Hello world of YouTube and welcome to another episode of Viral's Movie Reviews, where I review movies that you guys suggest I go to the movies and see or I feel like discussing. And this time around I'm going to be discussing a film that I've wanted to see and I've kind of talked about on the channel wanting to see, and that is the horror film It Follows, which I finally got to see tonight. And if you remember my top 6 albums of the year so far list, the soundtrack for this movie was on that list, and that was really a big reason why I wanted to see it, because I love Disasterpeace and I wanted to see how he would tackle a horror movie soundtrack, kind of like how I wanted to see The Social Network originally, because Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross did the soundtrack, and I loved The Social Network. I still love The Social Network, and I really enjoyed this film as well. And I think Disasterpeace's soundtrack, hearing it in context of the film, actually does a really good job, and I think that the soundtrack itself is really well put together. Obviously, I'm going to review that, but I think in context of the film, it works really well. The tense moments are well placed. The music makes a lot more sense in context of the film as well. It's not just good music, it's good music that's put into good context. And aside from the soundtrack being so awesome, the film itself is just really well handled. I'm kind of, I don't want to say a snob when it comes to horror, but, I mean, I really enjoy a good horror film. If you're a horror film that does horror the way that I enjoy it, I'll probably enjoy it really well, and this does that. It rests on a lot of the laurels that a lot of older horror films used to use, or a lot of horror films used to use, and almost acts as an homage to 80s horror films like Halloween, where you have this lumbering, unstoppable force that's just out to get you. And it helps that a lot of the scares in this movie are well played off. There's a couple jump scares here and there that are, you know, not annoying. There aren't too many to the point where it's annoying. They're well placed, but for the most of the time, the scares in this movie are mostly due to the atmosphere and the thought of not knowing when things are going to happen and having them paid off with just normal scares. I really liked a lot of the tense moments in this movie, and there's a lot of them because the film kind of rides along with short, peaceful moments that are mostly leading up to longer, drawn-out, tense moments where the monster is near and it's out to get you. And the plot of the film follows its character Jay as she's trying to escape and run away from this demon that she has been cursed upon, or cursed to have follow her, by having sex with this dude who was cursed, who had sex with the woman who was cursed before. And it's just this long line of people that it's all boiled down to Jay, and it's out to get her, and she spends the runtime trying to find ways to get away from it. It's fantastically done. I like the characters in this movie, which is another trope that for some reason a lot of modern horror films don't do. I don't know why, they just have a lot of dickheads that are up to get killed, but that's not really in this movie. This movie has a lot of likable characters that I don't want to see die. I like the connection between the characters that's established. It could have been focused on a little better. The two main characters have a lot of established relationship, but the rest of the characters do feel kind of like faces in the crowd. Really a nitpick, they could have been focused on a little more, but overall I do think this film is great. A huge gripe I have with the film is its ending and kind of how the resolution is handled. I like the big climax scene. I think it's a good setting, I think it's a good atmosphere, I think it's a good tone, but I think how they wrapped everything up felt a little hasty. But aside from those gripes, I do like the characters, I like the tension, I like the direction, I like the music, obviously. I love how it ties in with the film, and I think that overall it's a really solid horror film that came out last year, or this year, that pays homage to a lot of really good horror films. I hope that a lot of directors see it and kind of realize a lot of the good tropes that were used in old horror, because they're used very well here. It's not like predictable. Nothing is predictable in a lot of the tense scenes. You think it is, and it has a lot of red herrings to predictable moments, but a lot of the time it doesn't pay them off. And when it does pay them off, it makes them even scarier because you don't know when actual modern type scares are going to happen. And I think that that's good. I think that's great. And again, if there's a good horror film that comes out, I really appreciate it, because nowadays I see a lot of horror films that just aren't good. And so I'm really happy with this one, and it's actually one that I would like to add to my growing collection of movies. So there's that. But I'm done gabbing about it. That's pretty much, if you like good horror, if you appreciate older styles of horror, and you want to see kind of paid homage in a modern setting, this is a good film. Next review I have, I don't know, because again, a lot of my videos I filmed for this season are on my other laptop, and I can't get them. So I'll find a movie in the meantime and discuss it. If you do have a suggestion for a film you'd like me to discuss, I'm also open to that as well. But I'm going to go. I have been ViralRak. You guys have a day of situations, and I'll see you another day.